Welcome to Terror in Tandem, a podcast about finding entertainment in the macabre, hosted by the knowledgeable and lovable Laura and Richard Mathiasen. Each episode, we discuss the horror genre, from books to film to TV and beyond, sometimes even from the beyond. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Terror in Tandem and our latest website on terrorintandem.com.
Ooh.
Do it.
Catch up on our latest website, everybody.
Yeah, and join us next week and beyond for our Terror Fest.
Oh my gosh, is that happening?
Yeah.
Is that coming? Is
I
that
think it's our
imminent?
fifth annual.
It's one of those.
Yeah, we're going to be giving you supersized episodes, a couple bonus episodes. And we always start off the month with our monthly recommendations, and we have a
some.
lot of them.
We have a few. Yeah. Enough to guarantee titillation.
No guarantees here.
Asterisk, all guarantees
things to do
are not guaranteed.
With your eyes.
Absolutely no guarantees guaranteed. Since we're coming to you folks post-Rapture, you can obviously tell the moral character
obviously
of my co-host and myself.
I mean, listen to our podcast.
Again, since you are hearing it,
yeah.
What
does that say about you? Sorry, everyone.
You're all pieces of shit just like us. Or, I mean, we could just be playing to an empty room filled with, like, I don't know, clothing and, like, teeth, like, fillings and a pacemaker.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you rapture, all the, like, if you have, like, a titanium pin in your knee, like, that gets left behind. You don't take that to heaven.
Right. Your downloads are still happening. I hope you remember to cancel your downloads.
In this era of Mar-a-Lago face, I have to imagine that what is left behind after a lot of these evangelical types get raptured is just a pile of, like, goo and puddle and, like, plastic and melting sort of forever chemicals.
I guess we'll never know.
Well, that's spoken like someone who's not going to heaven, I guess.
I mean, sure.
By my count, this is at least the 15th rapture that I have not made the cut for.
No, it just makes me think of that Parks and Recs episode.
Yeah, the Reasonableists engage with Zorp.
Yeah.
But
Long live Zorp.
So for those of you left behind,
welcome.
Congratulations, because you now have official confirmation that you are indeed the cool kids.
And welcome to the episode.
Welcome to Terror in Tandem, everybody.
Everybody's
I'm your
welcome.
host, Richard. And with me, as always, is lovable
We already did that.
Oh, okay. Well, what do we want to talk about today, then, if we're not going to keep looping?
Let's slow it down a little bit.
Oh?
Take our time.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Things take time.
We are
Sometimes things take decades.
Bring you right to the edge
to come
here.
back.
Oh, I think I know where this is headed. So let's say you made a bunch of movies
or one or two.
Well, you made some, and then the sequels just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so you take 20 years off or so, and pretend everybody forgets, like the generation has kids and kids are stupid.
I'm gonna take a little more positive approach.
Well, if I could finish, you have your kids and they have no taste, so they go and see these dumb movies. And then all of a sudden, 20 years later, the prequels are considered good. What we're talking about today is legacy sequels, everybody.
Wow.
Legacy sequels.
So I think it's, maybe we want to relive this and maybe we can do it a little bit better. So let's see what we got in the old hopper.
As we know, that's definitely what motivates studio executives these days.
Well, it's not always studio executives.
Let's talk about legacy
sequels. It has
sequels.
to get made by other people.
And what do we mean when we talk legacy sequel? What is that? What is a legacy sequel?
It's a sequel to an original IP. So, I have a couple of examples like Top Gun Maverick. That's a legacy sequel.
What is it, though?
I'll get into it. I don't know why you're yelling. I didn't get raptured.
Sorry.
You don't need to yell.
I'm just very excited to hear.
There's a significant time gap typically. So it's either, a decade or more. Both in the actual setting of the film, but also in our real life timeline. There's sometimes, and more often than not, a focus on new protagonists. So there's new characters, a new storyline. You often bring along one or more of the original characters from the original film.
I guess you and I definitely have different views of this. That's definitionally, I'll say you're spot on. I think there is a pretty cynical and financial formula to crafting a legacy sequel, and I think it usually comes about because you blew the property by overdoing it, and you had to let a respectable amount of time pass by so that audiences could sort of reset their expectations, and then you lean heavily on nostalgia by casting a bunch of the originals. So you can guarantee that the older audience will come and the newer audience will come in to see what the new thing is.
Well, it's definitely a play into nostalgia. And some more characteristics is that it often pays homage to the original in some way, sometimes through Easter eggs, sometimes through bringing old characters back. Sometimes there is kind of a pinnacle character that comes back, or it's about that character, or it's a child of an original character. And there's always most likely a passing of the torch moment in a legacy sequel. So it's something that the original had that now the legacy sequel also possesses.
Yeah, it's a tricky proposition because, you are trying to appeal to the audience that liked the original movies, which are now a couple decades in the past. You're also trying to appeal to a brand new audience that didn't experience the original films in the same way. They may have seen them by now, but it wasn't in the theater. It wasn't as part of a group or an event like the original audience. So you're trying to appeal cross-generationally, but also to different cultural periods. And that's really difficult to do when a new generation comes up with different sensibilities. And you're also trying to respect the old generation. You want to change it just enough to be to validate its existence, that you had a reason to make this movie. But if you change it too much, everybody that liked the original is going to scream at you and freak out.
I feel like also you want to build new nostalgia in the legacy sequel with the new people that are watching it. And then maybe there'll be another legacy sequel in 20 years.
Or there's always an exception to every rule. I like to call this the Iger exception. You do a legacy sequel to Star Wars. You bring back all the characters, except you don't finish the story or have a script when you're shooting, and you make sure to brutally murder all of the beloved characters from the original on screen.
Well, we're definitely going to not go into the Star Wars of it all, because that would take us days.
Probably a good idea. That's usually such a boring and measured, rational conversation between adults when Star Wars is brought up, so...
As I mentioned, Top Gun Maverick is a super successful legacy sequel,
and I will give it. It did it the right. It did it
the right way.
Man, it was fucking awesome.
28 years later, our kind of most recent legacy sequel, and then one of my favorite legacy sequels, Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai captured the nostalgia and the kind of, cheesiness of the original Karate Kid, and brought a whole new spin or kick, roundhouse to
spin kick.
The content. They made some mistakes, a little bit trying to play too much into nostalgia, but I think it was really a fun legacy sequel.
That's always going to be the
and
tug
it was a
of
series,
war.
which was really fun.
Soon to be a movie coming out. I'm also very appreciative that, unlike one of the examples I'll be discussing today, they did not use CGI or AI to digitally resurrect Pat Morita. They did?
They 100% did.
God damn it. God fucking damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Take that back.
I know you didn't watch it.
Yeah, I really didn't, and now I definitely won't.
Yeah, that was what I said. Was they made a mistake with some of their
that was a
nostalgia
really
choices.
It's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Trying to be, nice.
You ever hear Pat Morita
upbeat,
just doing interviews, about? It's always wild to watch Pat Morita outside of the Mr. Miyagi character, because that is not he's American. That is not at all his accent. I think he was born in the Midwest or some shit. But he just, has an American accent, and he talks about fabricating, and coming up with the Miyagi accent, which he even admits isn't really a Japanese accent. It's just sort of a thing he did.
Well,
rest in peace, King.
Let's move on. We are going to structure this episode in a fun way. At least one of us will think it's fun.
I'm having fun.
And we are going to talk about, we're going to bring to the table a couple of legacy sequels that disappoint, that succeed and that exceed. So disappoints from the original, succeeds alongside of the original, and exceeds the original.
Yes, we couldn't think of a third word that rhymed. We have succeeds, exceeds. I mean, subseeds. It just doesn't work, folks. We tried.
Makes you bleeds.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's disappoints. Nobody was trying to make all three words rhyme. Let's start there. Let's start with the disappoints, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
I want to start with the disappoints,
okay.
and I want to end with the exceeds.
That's good, because this is gonna get a little heated. Huh. Why don't you go first?
So my disappoints is I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Which is wild to me that you had expectations of any kind.
Well, the original is 1997, starring Freddie Prinze Jr., Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Phillippe, and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Starring every crush or funny feeling I ever had in the mid-'90s across both sides of the aisle.
And essentially, the plot of both movies are the same. A group of friends fuck around on a highway and they kill someone, and they don't tell the police. Now, the original worked in some ways because it was 1997, and when most folks watched it, they were around the same age as these late high schoolers.
Also, real quick, comparing the casts of the two, I don't know if new viewers would realize this, but in 1997, is that when this movie came out? All of those people that you mentioned were at the fucking height of their powers. These were major stars, all of them.
They were all in something.
They were all very popular, famous, young, rising stars. And that's a kind of a big difference between the two versions, I'd say.
Yeah, we had Buffy, we had Jennifer Love Hewitt from Party of Five,
Wild Things, Ryan Phillippe, and all that stuff.
I don't know if that was
Did that come out
97. I think that was maybe later.
Well, Ryan Phillippe was in a bunch of shit.
And Freddie Prinze Jr. was sort of new.
He was in like lots of movies. He was in rom-coms and stuff.
Yeah, right. Can't Hardly Wait.
Sure.
Was he in that one?
I don't remember. I mean, they kind of all meshed.
Yeah.
No. She's All That.
Yeah.
She's All That. Yeah.
I was thinking the staircase situation when I was thinking Can't Hardly Wait.
Like, have you ever seen Rachel Lee Cook with her glasses off? She's actually beautiful.
Yeah, she was in Psych, a bunch of episodes of Psych.
But put glasses on her and disgusting.
I know.
Just
it's
disgusting.
like Clark Kent. How would you ever know?
She's hideous with
Anyway,
glasses.
I think that Freddie Prinze and Sarah Michelle fell in love on the set of this show because they are still very much in love and very
after
much
this
together.
movie, they were hooked.
Anyway, these teens fuck up
to
don't
no
tell
good.
anybody, and they decide to keep a secret, and then obviously a year goes by. Sometimes there's fractured friendships, and the hook man, this big, thick New England long coat wearing
he kind of looks like
man.
one of the guys from The Fog.
Yeah, it's not like a Gordon's Fisherman yellow.
No, it's like a kind of dark green,
like a gray green.
Yeah,
heavy.
It's a good look.
It's a really good look, and it's menacing, and he goes after each one of them.
And it's a play on that old like urban legend, of like parking the car and necking, and someone's got a hook and Blair.
So anyway,
necking.
It plays out in the same way in the Legacy sequel. So the Legacy sequel came out in 2025, and if you haven't seen it yet, you will want to fast forward past all of this because I am spoiling all of it.
Spoiler. It's also starring that person and lips.
It's starring Madeline Klein, who is probably the most established of everybody in the cast of the young adults.
Yes.
She was in the Outer Banks show, and she was also in the Knives Out, the second mystery one.
Oh, the Glass Onion?
Yeah, she's
Neat.
very beautiful. It also stars Chase Sweet Wonders and Jonah Howard King. Everybody's got multiple names in this film.
Oh,
and
yeah. Have you met my son, Tyler Preston Jenkins?
Jonah Howard King is in the new Him film.
which is
not doing well.
Getting the most hilarious defense I've ever seen of a movie from Marlon Wayans, but also he does make a good point.
And it was directed by Jennifer Caton Robinson.
Jesus Christ.
I know. I told you,
all sound
everybody's
like fucking
got three
political
names.
assassins.
So it's a new group of characters. They're young adults in college, so not high school. And one of the characters is getting married. Same thing. They fuck around on the highway and somebody ends up getting killed. However, I will argue that the fault of what happened is questionable.
I mean, in the first movie, they hit a dude.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
Correct. And they absolutely should have gone to the police.
Yeah.
But they
isn't it
didn't.
like also like they're hanging out the window and like drinking
Yeah.
and shit? Yeah.
And
I've seen this once.
This does not happen as badly. They pull over to the side of the road. They're watching fireworks. One of the characters is stoned and he's like walking and a car swerves to avoid hitting him. And they try to get the person out of the car, but the car is locked. They actually really try hard to get this person out. Now, in this circumstance, they should have called the police.
Yeah.
If they had just called the police, everything would have been fine. But for some dumb reason, and this is where the movie starts to go poorly within the first 10 minutes, is they don't do the right thing. And there are a couple of characters who want to, and they don't. So
there's a lot of that going around, wanting to do the right thing and just finding a reason not to.
This follows the formula, of the original. It's a familiar setting. It takes place in the same town that's been modernized. The killer, the iconic killer, is the same, in the same, outfit. We definitely see some of the young adults kind of playing into how modern Gen Z, I guess, would be young 20s right now.
Yeah.
How they act and things they care about. And, it's definitely modern in that way. What I will say about this film is the young actors in this film are much better than the young actors in the original.
I'd say, there's certainly a different style of acting that has been coming up. I'm not I have mixed feelings about it, but I know what you're describing. It's a more like, it's a turn towards realism.
And the original folks that come back. So we have a return of Jennifer Love Hewitt. We have a return of Freddie Prinze Jr. And a subplot within the story is they ended up getting married. Their characters ended up getting married, and now they hate each other. But it's not communicated as to why. There is anger and animosity. Very, it's strange. Anyway, I know can happen in life.
I know in their last fight, he threatened her with a divorce, and she said, "What are you waiting for?"
Well, she says it twice in this film.
Obviously,
to him.
Does she do it when she's bouncing up and down?
No.
That was the original movie.
And there are a couple of other cameos. One is by Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Really?
She is dead in the original, so she comes back in a dream sequence, and it was a well done cameo. And then at the end, Brandy comes back, and I'll get back to that in a minute. So here's why this disappoints. It sort of followed the formula of the original. However, the Hook guy just killed at will, like random people. Didn't even seemingly go after the kids that were involved. So why? There was no justification. Like there's some podcast person that comes and one of the characters hooks up with them and whatever, and they get killed.
Which one is that? Burnham Beckett Brockworth?
And there's another person who is like a relation to, like a boyfriend of one of the other main characters, and they get killed.
I always hated that in like slasher movies in the 80s when you could tell someone was getting killed because that's a particular type of person the director didn't like. Or didn't serve the narrative.
It was just to have the kill shots.
And
to maintain the original characters, which that's what we want. That's what we're going to see a slasher movie for, is to pick off the main cast. And why did he have Why did the hook killer? There's no reason for it. So a lot of things in this movie, there's no reasoning behind it. It doesn't make sense. And one of the things that doesn't make sense is who we find out the killer is. It's one of the original kids that caused the accident and hit it because her boyfriend was in the car, but
Wait.
she didn't know it. And
so when they were trying to rescue the car, she didn't know that her boyfriend was in the car?
no, because he had stolen that car to come find her
What?
because he thought she was going to relapse because they had met in
Just please.
there was like a religious aspect, there was a pastor, there's like a real kind of a cult thing.
Holy shit. What?
Yep. And then the mayor of the town, he was covering everything up because he wanted
Never
to keep
trust
developing.
those town mayors.
And so what happens is we find out one of the kids is one of the killers, and then we find out who the other killer is. And guess who it is, everybody? It's Freddie Prinze Jr. Because the girl comes to him, and I guess he promised her dad he would take care of her. And his name's Ray. And Ray is like, oh, well, I thought the only way we could do revenge is to bring up this urban legend again. And then he becomes this killer all of a sudden with no motivation. It's bad. It extremely disappoints.
Justice
It
for
doesn't
Freddy.
play homage to the original in any way except for bringing back some characters
Which is lazy
who are
shit, man.
so like antithetical to what their characters were in the original. They at least play into so
Yeah.
they stole that directly from the Scream reboot because Courtney Cox and David Arquette were married and their marriage didn't work, but they're sad about it and they talk about it.
This series has always been a ripoff of Scream.
A lot of the
original
kill-
capitalized on Scream.
A lot of the kill shots, there was like something by a pool, a beautiful pool, and you look out the window, and
Yeah.
then there's somebody slowly crawling away on the lawn. I mean,
sounds awesome.
so it extremely disappoints as a standalone film and as a legacy sequel.
Fails
You
to
can tell
meet
I'm
the
angry.
meteoric heights of the original.
Well, listen, it didn't have that far to go.
Yeah.
It could have just been a little tickle of a better film, and it wasn't.
Now,
I'm sorry.
You've been talking about this for a little while now, and yet zero mentions of Johnny Galecki. Where's Johnny Galecki?
I didn't know he was in it.
He was in the original.
He was?
Yeah, he was in it for like a couple minutes.
A
Wasn't
kid-
it? He was one of the-
Must have been a kid.
He got killed for sure. Yeah.
Johnny Galecki.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Hold on, we're pausing.
That's how memorable.
Yeah, and also that actor who was in like Mortal Kombat and Billy Madison, and then nothing else ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got killed.
Johnny Galecki?
I
He's doing
thought you were
fine.
talking about Johnny Galecki.
No, he's doing okay. I just checked in with him. He's
he
still
was on
sitting on that
Big Bang
Big
thing.
Bang money.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all made $1 billion for poisoning everyone's brain.
Well, people love it.
Sure, people love lots of things. Yeah. So,
What's your disappoints?
well, I hate to be.
I mean, you do have some exceeds and succeeds. They're not all disappoints, right?
No, I'm doing the same format you are. But, my first one is a movie that, and I'm assuming everyone listening to this has listened to every single episode. So you probably know that I often get, a little ribbing for liking everything. I really, I'm pretty easy on stuff. Like and movies don't usually make me upset, because they're movies.
Yeah, you love a horror movie.
Yes. Now, unfortunately, this one is an exception to that rule because I did not enjoy this, but it also really upset me. I really, really have a lot of problems with this movie, and that's Alien Romulus. I know this was inexplicably very popular when it came out, and I saw it in the theater, and I can definitely see the merits.
We
So
saw it.
Let's start with that. Yeah. So this is coming out, after the last actual sequel, because Prometheus and Covenant were prequels, sort of, and so is Alien Earth.
And we will do a prequel episode at some point.
And Alien Earth is so good.
It's so
y'all.
good. It's the
so good.
scariest alien.
Yeah, it's the best.
Don't listen to anyone else. It's so scary.
So Alien Romulus came out in 2024. Now the last, main entry in the Alien series came out in 1997 with Alien Resurrection, which is a very weird movie that I have a lot of fondness for because I'm a big fan of Jean-Pierre Jeunet and his style. But I get it. It's It's a strange one. So anyway, this one is in some ways a return to form. Fede Alvarez is directing, and he's a guy that has some real wins in his column. Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead reboot in 2013.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
those are good.
Yeah, and this movie definitely has it down in the scares department. It's tight. It is frightening. It's gory. It's very technically proficient and well crafted, with one unbelievable exception.
And may I just say that the first half an hour is great.
Yeah. Oh, the real quick of it is a group of youngins in the sort of corporate nightmare future of the alien universe. They steal a ship to try to leave their horrible planet, and one of them is a malfunctioning synth played by David Johnson, who is the absolute standout of this movie.
Yeah.
He is so good. That was another thing that upset me, because I'm like, when one person just really stands apart.
He's
anyway,
now starring in The Long
Long Walk, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more out of him. Now, Kaylee Spenny's also in this, and she's fine. Isabella Merced is in it for a couple minutes, and she's fine. But they're just not given a lot to do. Blah, blah, blah. They steal a ship. Alien gets loose. Chest bursting, screaming, blood, all that stuff. Here's where it disappoints, folks. Now, we talked about nostalgia being a component of legacy sequels, and that is sort of a necessary evil. You have to have some of the original for it to be a legacy sequel, and you do want to bring that original audience in. This movie really overdoes it. It plays so heavily into the earlier movies that, I mean, the one part of it that absolutely rocketed me out of the experience was when David Johnson's character, right before he shoots the alien, says, "Get away from her, you bitch," which is pretty famously Sigourney Weaver's line in Aliens when she's fighting the queen in the mech suit. Now, this movie takes place, I know we said it's a legacy sequel, but I think it takes place between the first and second Alien movie on the timeline. So it happens before she says that.
Interesting.
They're not...
So they're pretending that...
I don't know what they're doing.
Sigourney Weaver stole that line?
Well, that's impossible, because he says it alone. There's no one around to hear him say this. It's not like it gets recorded or anything. So I guess we're just supposed to believe, 50-something years later or however much, another person just says that exact fucking thing, because that's a thing people say in the future. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in the alien future, "Get away from her, you bitch" is just a common tell-off that people say all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was awful. So, but the main sin of this is the heavy use of AI, quote unquote, to resurrect the deceased actor Ian Holm in the form of his character Ash from the first Alien. Now, couple things there. I think it's really fucked up to put a dead person's face on a movie. I didn't like it when they did it in Rogue One with Peter Cushing. That man has been dead for decades now. It's strange. It seems disrespectful, and it seems like a moment in human history, and I know I don't mean to be hysterical about this, but it's dehumanizing. And I would hope that people would look at a thing like that and go, we shouldn't do this. This just seems wrong. It seems like we're degrading ourselves.
Well, that's why there's an effort by a lot of Hollywood actors to protect their likenesses.
And then there's an effort by companies like Lionsgate to turn their own properties into AI slop, which, by the way, is not going very well for them, obviously. So resurrecting Ian Holm is bad. The other part of it is he's like a major character in the movie.
Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah, he's in a lot of this movie. He's the chief antagonist of the movie. He's in multiple scenes. So, it's like a cringy thing that you have to watch for roughly fucking 40 minutes of screen time. It's insane how much he's in this movie. And again, this man is dead.
Is the legacy of it all that it's about the xenomorphs?
Now, Ian Holm was a incredible, long, working, beloved character actor, and I adored him, and I was very, very sad when he passed, and I didn't know the man personally, but it is really fucked up to see this guy, kind of paraded like that. Now, the least important part, but perhaps the most consequential part of this, is it was also really bad.
Yeah, it was overdone.
Terrible. It looked like one of just a terrible AI slop video you see infesting your Instagram page. His mouth was all janked up. It was impossible to look at without, I mean, the immersion was completely broken. You know, that suspension of disbelief. So this movie was just, the thing is that nothing else mattered to me after that. Seeing this poorly rendered version of a dead man on screen for a large portion of the film, I really don't give a shit what else happened. It was mind-breaking that made it in. I get that not everyone has as much of a problem as I do with that, but I'm used to that. I'm usually upset about things that a lot of people aren't. But on a technical level, yes, this movie was scary and it was cool. It definitely had the look. It looked
What about
grimy.
The legacy aspect of it?
You know, it carried on the legacy of the original Alien in that it was a return to horror. It was a self-contained, you know, single spaceship kind of movie. It had the grime and that sort of yellow hazard light, industrial nightmare future, like working class, dirty, dangerous, undervalued jobs, that kind of thing. It had the grind of humanity desperately trying to escape itself. And it had all the greatest hits, the chest bursting, the acid blood, all that stuff.
It also took place on a planet for a minute. You know what I mean?
Which was very interesting to me.
Yeah, which
it was like
the
a
beginning
nightmare
part.
industrial planet.
Yeah.
Like any fans of Warhammer, it was like it was like a Mechanicus planet.
And it was weird because obviously the xenomorphs are part of the original, but the only part of the original that they brought back was in CGI form. They didn't bring you know,
which I'm fine with.
But even talking about, like, I'm, you know, so and so's, you know,
I'm not a
daughter,
I'm not
or
a
that's
fan
my
of
last
nostalgia.
name. Even if you just mention it briefly, and you can pick it up as an Easter egg.
I personally don't like nostalgia. I think it's very cynical. I think it's gross. It never works for me. The original root of the word from the Greek literally means to look backwards with sadness. So, you know, we like to think it's looking back fondly on things, but it's melancholy. Now, this wasn't so much nostalgia as mining your childhood for profit. And it was all of the worst impulses of a studio executive working against the artist. I was so surprised to see Fede Alvarez not only make this, but then vigorously defend it afterwards. He stepped away from the sequel. I don't know why. He says, obviously, he always intended to do that. I guess we're living in a world where whenever someone makes a decision or announces something, they were always going to do it from the very beginning. We don't change our minds on things. So I don't know how much went into that, but this movie, it was starring talented people, made by a talented director in a universe that is just so rich for adaptation and for storytelling. And it was like 2 hours worth of studio notes from businessmen. That's what the movie felt like. And I hated it. I hated it that it happened. I hope the sequel to it, at the very least, casts living, real people in their roles. You know, you're telling me you can't find somebody that kind of looks like a middle-aged British guy?
Or pick another character.
Yeah.
Or pick the, you know, dad, because did you say it happens before the first?
You know, here's the thing. It's just if you want to cast Luke Skywalker and make him look younger, put Sebastian Stan in your movie. He looks a lot like Mark Hamill, and he's a real person.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, Alien Romulus. I know I came down pretty hard on this movie, and the reason is because, in my opinion, this was not a movie that was made with good intention, and it wasn't a swing and a miss. This was a cynical cash grab. It felt like it. It was an insult, not only to a fan of the movie, but to, like, I don't know, human beings. And I do take a very hard line against AI, coercion of the human spirit. I think AI and generative AI is good for a lot of things, but not for robbing us of our spirit and our artistry. And the fact that we're doing it to ourselves is kind of weird. But geez, this movie really bummed me out, and I'm sorry to bash on it, but I'm going to be super positive about the next couple.
Yeah, I mean, you don't usually
I don't
say negative things.
And I don't like to, but I really do want to see an end to this.
I mean, you don't say negative things about movies.
I want to see an end to this very dark, dehumanizing trend of digital necromancy. It's really hard to look at, and I feel dread when I think about it. Not the kind I like.
Well, that was a recovery is needed. Let's take a quick break or a long one.
Pill.
Looking to add some excitement to your Halloween party? Want to add some frights to the night? Well, look no further. Hire Brian. Brian can handle all of your wishes for a hauntingly good time for any style of party you might be hosting. Need a scary clown? Hire Brian. Want a secret stalker to scare trick-or-treaters? Brian is your man. Mad scientist? Scarecrow? Masked monster? Brian is up for all of it. Since completing his stint in a disreputable penitentiary, Brian has been fine-tuning his abilities to morph into what you need him to be, living up to his given nickname on the block, the Chameleon of Chaos. Brian is cheap, sometimes coming into your home for free. Brian will come and go as he pleases, sometimes without your knowledge. How easy is that? Depending on what you need Brian to do, he may add some of his own unique flair. Brian has a way of sticking with you, so tell your friends. We are not responsible for any damage, death, or dismemberment that Brian may or may not cause. Just go with it. Hire Brian. If you don't, he may show up anyway. This is a fake ad for a fake product of a horror-themed podcast. We do not condone nor endorse what Brian does that might be immoral or illegal.
Much better.
Yeah.
Put some cucumber slices
We're back,
in my eyes.
by the way.
Had some chamomile tea, and we're back. And I'm ready to be positive.
Well, I'll get into my succeeds.
Ooh.
My next is the succeeds, everyone.
Lovely.
So this is, I say it's a succeeds because it does what a legacy sequel should do, in my opinion, which is capture the tone and vibe of the original in a way that makes a good movie. That it's not doing too much and it's not letting you down.
Well, it's a good movie that doesn't sour the experience of the previous movies.
It's actually something that pays homage to it in an interesting way. And this choice, I will say, is a very unique decision of a way to tell stories and a way to make a sequel. And it's Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Oh, shit.
So A Nightmare
talk about
on Elm
swinging
Street.
for the fences.
Yeah.
What a bold movie.
A Nightmare on Elm Street is the original. It came out in 1984, starring Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp, and John Saxon. And A New Nightmare came out 10 years later. So,
and how many? 5 sequels later. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 have come out.
We're not even going to talk about those, to be honest.
Some of them are pretty good, though.
They're not even relevant.
They are good, though.
Which is why this makes such a successful legacy sequel. Because you can go from one to this. I mean, there's obviously talk about it in the movie about all these sequels, but you don't have to have watched them.
Wes Craven wrote and directed the first one. He wrote the third one, but he had no involvement in the others aside from cashing the check.
The same with Heather Langenkamp.
She wrote the first one?
No, she was involved.
I know.
So the New Nightmare came out, Wes Craven's New Nightmare came out in 1994, and it stars all the same people except Johnny Depp. And this time it includes Wes Craven as an actor in the film. And then we see a couple of new characters, including Michael Hughes, who plays Heather's son in the film, who is also the penis vagina kid from Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, he was in everything.
As a kid,
that kid,
he was in everything.
Yeah, if you grew up in the 90s, that little kid's face was in like fucking. He was in Mercury Rising with Bruce Willis. He
actually does a pretty great job in this movie.
Is he the same kid who was in Pet Sematary?
I think so. Blonde.
Gage?
Though. Yeah, I think
is
it was
it Gage?
Blonde,
yeah, like he was a very distinctive looking child actor. I thought he had the Webster kid disease for a while, but he did actually age.
Yeah, he did. Wes Craven is the mastermind behind these two films, and A New Nightmare is a meta slasher inside a meta world of the Nightmare franchise, which is, like I said, really brilliant storytelling.
This was Wes Craven's test run before he did Scream.
So everybody knows A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger haunts this town in people's dreams, and Nancy is essentially a final girl who ultimately finds a way to somewhat defeat him. In A New Nightmare, we are not with Nancy, we are with Heather Langenkamp. So it is the actors and the director, Wes Craven, and creator, they are playing themselves in this film. And they are going to do a 10-year anniversary film cinematic reboot, possibly, of Freddy Krueger. Oh, at least that's kind of what we're led to believe at the beginning. But Heather's son, as we mentioned, is starting to struggle with seeing Freddy in his dreams and drawing him. And her husband is a special effects person who creates a new Freddy Claw that he doesn't tell Heather about, and then she finds out, and it starts to really unravel. So even Robert Englund, Heather goes on a talk show, and then Freddy comes out, and she and Robert are very close, and then you see Robert in his plain clothes as Robert, and they're very close, and so you see,
which is always very fun because the real Robert Englund. He's one of those like old style theatrical actors who's so hammy and funny. And,
he is.
Like, he's like a very gentle, like it's hilarious that he's Freddy Krueger,
So it's Robert starts to have dreams, and he's painting. I guess he's an artist, Robert Englund. He's an artist, and he's painting like dark Freddy stuff, and things are dark. And this new Freddy that is part of this New Nightmare is much darker, much scarier, much more violent, he much more relentless. And it's about the legend and legacy of Freddy himself that really is driving the plot of this film, which makes it so intriguing because after all of these films and all of these sequels, you wonder what the actors and creators carry with them. And then this fake invented character is actually a real thing that is now hunting and haunting them all. And it is really well done. It is really scary. Action happens right away and doesn't stop. It has I don't know if you'll remember this from the 84 version, but it has the kind of like this softness,
the dreamy
film,
the dream sequence where everything looks like it's kind of a heat haze.
It's all across the whole film, and sometimes you don't know what is real and what is happening, and people don't even need to dream anymore, and sometimes you don't know if people are dreaming, and it doesn't even honestly it doesn't seem to matter because it seems like Freddy does not need the dreams anymore to be part of.
It's Wes Craven having an existential crisis and making it into a movie.
It's meta on top of meta on top of meta. It's pretty amazing.
The studio execs must have shit their fucking pants when he turned this in. Because, like, this comes after Freddy's Dead, the final Nightmare, was a disaster. It was reviled. It was a bomb. Everyone hated it. It sucked. And so they get... Oh, gosh, we got Wes Craven to come back. He's going to fix it. He's going to revitalize the franchise. He's going to make all of us fucking rich and we can do cocaine again. And then he makes this movie. and no one knew what to make
and
of
it plays into like all of the horror tropes, all of the Hollywood tropes, all of the like, what do you think actors really deal with? And
this is when Wes Craven started to become really angry about being like pigeonholed.
Yeah.
He made Music of the Heart with Meryl Streep. He was trying to get out of being, only a horror director.
But I find it to be really successful. I think, again, specific to the meta slasher, the storytelling of it all. It captures all of the kind of same stuff as the original, but in such a new way from the perspective of the people that made the film rather than the characters. I thought it was great. I thought it succeeded. It doesn't exceed because A Nightmare on Elm Street is pretty perfect.
And I think the one of the genius behind Wes Craven making this is I think he knew that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
That why try to best
he tried
my best,
and he couldn't.
Yeah,
and nobody could.
You can't. I think going a completely different route with it was the only way anything of worth could have been made. Because it came out about 16 years later, but they did try to reboot A Nightmare on Elm Street with I don't know that guy, Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah,
and everyone fucking hated it because it was a soulless sack of crap.
I also feel like Wes Craven kind of put a stop to being able to make a successful fictional Freddy movie with this film.
I love Wes Craven so deeply because he was such a punk and such like that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
He made an awesome movie that on its own is fascinating and enjoyable. And he also definitely sabotaged the franchise. The only thing they could do with it afterwards was make him fight fucking Jason like a bunch of years later. It was like 10 years later when that movie came out or something.
But now that you kind of demystify the Freddy of it all by showing Robert Englund as a regular person who is just playing a character, the power that Freddy has to be a scary villain anymore doesn't hold true anymore.
I can't. Exactly. I mean, it's like the first time you see Robert Englund at like a fan convention, you're like, oh, okay, well, Freddy really likes musicals. He's like a wonderful guy. I like a lot of horror. Kane Hodder's like that. A lot of horror actors are just big, wonderful people, squishes. But this movie, I mean, it's so daring. And it's the absolute unicorn of an artist getting oh so clever with his own work. And it's good. Mm-hmm. I mean, most of the time when a director, especially later on in their career, does something like this, they take a look at their body of work, they get kind of self-referential. It can turn into be like kind of a circle jerk, Megalopolis type thing.
Yeah.
This is not that. He makes his statement. He makes his metatextual commentary. He torpedoes his own franchise. And on top of that, makes maybe the best Nightmare film after the first one.
And I just want to shout out John Saxon because
hell yeah,
he plays himself and is supportive to Heather, but obviously doesn't believe her. And then when she does have a dream about him, he is her father again, a useless cop that does not help her at all and just ignores everything she's crying about and saying everything about. And I think that's a real homage to the original because it's like, yeah, he hasn't changed at all.
Well, yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street also is perhaps the pinnacle example of boomer parenting. If younger generations want to know what it was like to be raised by these people in the 80s, that's what it was like.
Some of these 80s were definitely...
This is a rich family, so if you were like well off and you had like money, but the absolute disinterest in your life, basically raising yourself, and then when you do need help, completely not being believed. Yeah, man, this is pretty spot on.
Well, A New Nightmare succeeds, in my opinion, as a legacy sequel. And, like any good legacy sequel, I mentioned that there's a time gap.
Oh.
Why don't we make this into two-parter?
Unprecedented,
Why don't we make our own, speaking of, and as a homage to the master himself, Wes Craven, why don't we do something really meta and make this episode its own legacy sequel?
Stay tuned for part 2 of Legacy Sequels, roughly 25 years from now.
It won't be that long. We'll come right back and you'll hear Richard succeed.
I do like the way we kind of broke this up. If you got one episode where you can hear me screaming about stuff, and then the next episode you can hear me yelling about stuff.
Richard will talk about his succeeds, and we'll both talk about our exceeds, which are very exciting. And, feel free to see if you can guess which each of us are going to pick. Send us a DM.
Feel free to do all of those things and more. Join us next time on Terror in Tandem Legacy Sequels.
Legacy sequel. Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Hispanic. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. We're